Hi, and welcome to What Makes the Academy Exceptional. My name is Dr. Joe Tuite, and I'll be your host. Tonight, we'll be focusing on athletics, and we're very fortunate to have with us today our athletic director, and he's going to be able to share with you some valuable information here in just a moment. Before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to explain the relationship between Burris Laboratory School and the Indiana Academy for Science, Mathematics, and Humanities. Burris is a K-12 public school that opened in 1929 and is located here on the campus of Ball State University. Admission to Burris is through an application process and a lottery system that's held each spring. And the Indiana Academy was founded in 1988 by the Indiana General Assembly for the purpose of educating high ability students within the state. We're also located on the campus of Ball State. And the Academy is a 10-12 high school that provides high achieving, creative thinking, and high ability or gifted learners with a world-class education. The Indiana High School Athletics Association, or IHSAA, has approved Burris and the Indiana Academy to combine for our athletics. So with that big lead in, Mack, would you introduce yourself and please share a little bit about your background and what you do in your position as an athletic director?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. My name is Mack Rathbun, and I am the athletic director here at Muncie Burris and for the Indiana Academy. I was actually a K through 12er here at Burris, so I went to Burris all through high school, middle school, and elementary school. I attended Indiana University, and I actually did not have my major in athletics, but somehow athletics found me, and I'm so glad to be here. And it is very, very rewarding to help all the students.
Hey, thank you so much. Um, let's go ahead and kick things off with questions. So if you're here in the Zoom room and you have a question, please go ahead and drop that in the chat box and I'll present it. Or if you're watching on one of our social media platforms, you can drop your question in the comments or you can email it to me at the email address you see next to my name on your screen. So while you're thinking about those first questions and getting those typed in, Mack, do you want to share a little bit about the different sports that we offer here?
Absolutely. So, for the fall season that just ended, some of the sports that we offer are cross country for both boys and girls, both girls and boys soccer, boys tennis, girls volleyball, and now recently added girls golf. The first time in Burris history and Indiana Academy history that we have added a girls golf team for the fall season. And for spring, we have track and field, girls tennis, boys golf, and boys baseball. I went out of order there. I should have went with fall, winter, spring, but that's okay. Winter, currently what we have now is boys basketball, girls basketball, swim and dive, and also cheer.
Great, thank you. All right, so your first question, can I play football with an area school? Because I heard that you don't have football.
So, unfortunately, with football, we have never had any students that were able to go to an area school to be able to play a sport, specifically because it's a team sport. Unfortunately, that's just something that we have never offered. And that's just, unfortunately, we can't do that via the IHSA rules. That's something that we cannot do.
I know for younger students, there are some area like summer football programs. I don't know if there's anything like that for high school students. Do you know of anything, Mac?
Well, I know that they have like flag football programs that they do sometimes in the summertime. I know that Ball State may have some programs regarding like flag football, and I've had a lot of students ask if we could create like a flag football club. We're always willing to, create a club at any time. That's always an option. But we're very limited as far as what we can do to create an actual team as far as being like IHSA certified.
Right, thank you. Can you share what conference we're in?
We are in the PAAC, it's the PAC conference, And where the teams that we play would be like Seton Catholic, Indianapolis Shortridge, Anderson, Anderson Prep, and Park Tudor is also in that conference. It's a relatively, we've been in the conference, I believe we joined in 2014. It's a lot of conferences that are in the Anderson and the Indianapolis area. And it's somewhat farther away than kind of the closest conference teams that are in our conference are Anderson Prep and also Liberty Christian. Those are the two Anderson schools, and the rest of them are closer towards the Indy area.
Great, thank you. Next question coming in is, what is your cut policy?
So it really just depends on how many students come out. We typically have call out meetings very early before the season begins. And realistically, not many of our teams do cuts. It's only those that we have a massive amount of people that want to come. Now, with like cross country, any fall sports, um, other than girls volleyball, we have not done cuts. It's mostly the sports that have just a huge interest, those that we have to make cuts in order to, make a sizable roster that we can work with. But for the most part, we usually don't do many cuts, and that's because of the size. We are a 1A and 2A school. 1A for like soccer, 2A for volleyball. Most of our sports are 1A other than volleyball and basketball. And so we're not a typical school like a 4A school that would have a massive amount of students that want to try out for the team. So usually we don't do cuts, but occasionally we may do cuts for certain sports that have such interests.
Great, thank you. The next question is, what is the participation cost?
So for our athletics, the participation cost, we have a one-time fee of $125 for high school, and that would cover jersey rental, it would cover transportation costs, and it would also cover officiating costs. And that would be just a fee that we do a fee for both fall, winter, and spring. So if you decide to play all three, then you would have an individual 125 for each sport that you would play. And if you decide to participate in more than one sport in that specific season, you would only pay just one-time fee of the 125. So if you wanted to participate in, let's say, golf and also track and field, you could do that and just only pay the 125 in that one season, such as spring.
Great. We have a follow-up question for that. Is there financial assistance available?
Yes, there is financial assistance available. That is something that we can speak. If you come to me and we can speak on how we can figure out how to make possible payments or other avenues to try to take care of that. We want everyone to be able to play, so we do not want to, turn anyone away if they may not be able to pay that fee.
Great, thank you. I absolutely love this next question. It's a bit subjective, I think, but how good are the teams?
So actually, with volleyball, historically at Muncie Burris, volleyball has been very, very successful. We actually just won the state championship last year. That was our 23rd championship in 2023. So we have won 23 total state championships in our Burris athletic history. And we are very, very well known for our volleyball. As far as our soccer programs, we have won sectionals 4 times in a row in girls soccer, and I also believe 4 times in a row in boys soccer. So soccer and volleyball in the fall are very, very successful. Our boys basketball team, and really our basketball programs in general are on the up and up, and we are improving. As well as our swim and dive. We actually had someone qualify for state last year. So we do have some sports that are successful. I would say that volleyball is, the one sport that we've had the most success over the years with the 23 state championships.
Great, thank you. Let's see, the next question coming in. Oh, this is a good one. How does it work having two schools playing on the same team?
So it's really simple because of the size of both the academy and Burris. If it wasn't for us being combined, we would probably be both be 1A. So it doesn't really affect much. It's I would say the teams are about 50-50. Swim and dive is a majority of academy students, but usually there is no really big issue with having them combine. I think they both coexist very, very well.
Yeah, I agree with you that when you're out there watching them play, you can't tell who's on, from which school. They are definitely a team.
Absolutely.
Next question is, I didn't hear you mention softball. Do you have that?
So we do not have softball, but since we offer baseball, girls are allowed to play on the baseball team. And we actually have had a couple in the past that have played on the baseball team, and have had some success with that as well. So we do offer that for the girls. They are more than welcome to play on the baseball team.
Thank you. Since we're on that topic of softball, it brought to mind wrestling and some of the changes happening with wrestling. Can you talk a little bit about that?
So with wrestling, we have a middle school wrestling program that is very, very new. This is I believe the second or third year that we've had middle school wrestling, and we are exploring options to create high school wrestling. Now, unfortunately, we were not able to have it this year, and we are working towards having it in the future. There are some things that we need to discuss as far as where we will have our facilities, like practices and things of that nature. And we are working towards having a high school team very soon in the near future. Whether that happens next year it's uncertain, but that is something we are trying to create.
Great, thank you. Um, the next question is, I live about 2 hours away. So what do I do if there's a practice or a game on one of the academy's long breaks? I think they're talking about like our extended weekends.
So, and this is something with when I was a student here, having academy students on my team. Really, with practices, we have our coaches work with the students to make sure if there's like a time that they would be able to make, or say it's like on an extended break, and they would possibly be able to drive down here for a practice later on in the day. Maybe not having early practices, having them in the midday, things like that. Or also even staying with a friend in the area is also an option that academy students have used before. But that's one of the challenges we do have with breaks, is that it's hard because I know a lot of those that go to the academy may not be in the area. They may live all over Indiana. So that's one challenge, unfortunately, that we just kind of have to work around. And sometimes, specifically like winter break, it's just we may not have a lot of practices over break.
And I know a lot of students will make arrangements to stay with local students too. So that's something that if you're looking at the schedule and planning in advance, it's really easy to work around. For those that are just joining us, if you're here in the Zoom room and you have a question, please feel free to drop that in the chat box, either to everyone or to me privately. And if you're watching on one of our social media platforms, you can drop your question in the comments, or you can email it to me at the address next to my name on your screen. So our next question is, can you talk about who you play?
So we play a bunch of different schools in the area. Let me actually see. I have a schedule here. We play everyone in our conference. That's with conference teams. You automatically get to play pretty much every single one of those. We also play a lot of teams in the MEC conference. Those are the Mid-Eastern Conference teams. That would be like Wapahani, Cowan, Daleville, basically those teams that are in our area within a 30-minute range. And then we also play Muncie Central, Delta, Newcastle, and other bigger schools that are around our area. But for the most part, it's teams that are within a 30-minute radius is kind of what we'd like. I know that some of our conference teams are a little farther away because they're in Indy, but we like to keep it within 30 minutes because a lot of games happen to be during the school week. So it's nice to be able to, when you're playing on a Tuesday night, to be able to get back at a reasonable time so you can get ready for school the next day.
Great, thank you. The next question I have here is, I'm not sure if I want to be non-residential or residential. Would that make a difference for any of the sports I want to play?
Well, so with transferring, with the transfer form, and that's one thing I wanted to speak about too, as far as those coming to the academy, you will have to fill out an athletic transfer form. So, in order to be eligible by the IHSA standards, you have to fill out an athletic transfer form that you would submit at the beginning of the year so we can get you cleared athletically to be able to participate in sports. Typically those that are in the dorms will never have an issue with being able to get full eligibility. We have had issues in the past with those that were non-residential, as far as those, for instance, that would transfer from like a Yorktown, which is very close to Muncie, Burris, that did not stay in the dorms, that did not get full eligibility. That all just depends on the certain circumstances, though.
Thank you. This next question is, I've driven by Burris and haven't seen any practice fields. So where do you practice?
So the great thing about us being a part of Ball State is that we use a lot of Ball State facilities. So the Ball Gym, which is across the street from Burris, is actually where we do all of our practices for winter sports such as basketball, swim and dive, also cheer. And then the fall, we also practice volleyball at Ball Gym. There's also a soccer field that is across the street from the hospital. That's where we play all of our soccer games. And then we even get the chance to do our track and field events at the Ball State track and field, which is right by the stadium. And then occasionally, when Ball State baseball is on a away game, we even get to play at their baseball field as well. So it's really awesome that we get to use a lot of their facilities when we're able. Swim and dive, our home events are at Llewellyn Pool, which is actually is Ball State's pool that they use. So we get to use some college facilities, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to supervising one of the swimming meets this year. I normally do volleyball and soccer and basketball, but I'm excited for that swimming one. That facility is gorgeous.
It's very, very cool to be in there.
Yeah. This next question is coming in from a parent, and they want to know what ways they can stay involved. Is there a booster club, that sort of thing?
So yes, we actually do have the OAAB, which is the Owls Academic Athletic Booster Club. And what that is kind of how we gather up funds for specific sports. We do a lot of, that's how the fundraising is done here. So based off of whatever sport that your athlete plays in, you can actually donate to that specific fund. And we use those funds. Say you would like to donate money to girls basketball, we would have a specific fund for girls basketball. The money would go towards girls basketball for any purchases that they would like to make. Say they want to create sectional t-shirts, or maybe they need more shooting shirts, or warm-up pants, things of that that such a thing. Like that's where that money would go towards. We also have concessions at Ball Gym. We do a lot of fundraising with the concessions, and those parents that like to help out with concessions, whatever sport they want the fundraising to go towards, they would get 25% of the proceedings or all the profits for that would go towards that OAB account. So that's kind of what we like to do, to have a each individual account for each sport. And then that's how we use to be able to make certain purchases for certain things that they may need in the season.
Great, thank you. I just received a message from here in the Zoom room asking about football. I know you touched on that a few moments ago. Would you mind doing so again?
Yeah, so unfortunately at Burris, we do not offer football. And because football is a team sport, we are unable to have players go and play for another team. With team sports that under the IHSA rules, it's more so for individual sports. But specifically football, we do not offer that, unfortunately.
Great, thank you so much. Next question here. You mentioned the Ball State fields that you practice and or play on. How far away are they? How do I get to them? And how do I get to games?
So what we do, first off, they're very very close. They're all on campus, and Burris is actually right by campus, so it's no more than 10-15 minutes away. We actually, for those practices, we have transportation at the academy, and we actually have vans that will be able to take students to and from practice. And then there's also the Ball State bus system that will help them get to the practices as well.
Great, thank you. The next question is it hard to balance homework? Because I've heard the Academy has a lot and sports.
Well, it just depends. It definitely can be difficult to balance both. It all just depends on the workload of the amount of work that you have in school. Also, depending on what sport you play, what time practices are, what time you get out of your classes. I know that some classes go until 4 o'clock. I know Burris gets out at 3. Sometimes academy students may not get out till 4. It really just depends on what your schedule looks like and what specific sport that you want to play.
Thank you. We have a question here in the Zoom room asking about our baseball program.
Is there so for our baseball, we are up and coming. We are improving our team. We actually do our practices at Thomas Park, and also McCullough Park Field is where we have most of our games. And so all transportation would be provided, at least for practices, will be provided by the academy with the academy vans. And those are actual areas that are not on Ball State campus. Those are a part of Muncie community parks. But we also do provide occasional games at the Ball State First Merchants Diamond, which is right across the street from the Ball State football field. And none of the fields are actually in the area of Burris, but we do offer transportation to make sure that students do get there.
Thank you. Next question coming in is, since the team jerseys say Burris, does that mean Burris students fill the spots first?
That is not true at all. Just because it says Burris on the t-shirts does not mean that they fill the spots first. Both Indiana Academy and Burris get they both fill it. It's fair. It's 100% fair. There is no Burris taking the spots before the academy.
Yep, I totally agree. You see equal amounts of the students out there on the fields, and it works very, very well. I would say don't worry about that at all.
Yeah, I would not worry about that.
This next question is maybe a little bit in the same vein. Since you're two different schools playing on one team, do you find it hard to develop a sense of team?
No, absolutely not. And me being a K through 12er here, I played with many academy students on my teams, and some of those academy students were my very best friends. So we developed a great bond, and we were wonderful teammates. And I can see that with all of our teams this year and years past that. The team camaraderie was very, very strong with both the Burris students and the academy students.
Yeah, I agree. It seems to be uh, very, very tight. I mean, if you think about it too, when you're going out for your sports teams there in your current school, you may have younger players coming on that you don't know very well, and it takes just a few of those practices to really start to bond. So it's the same thing here at with the academy in Burris. After a couple of practices, you don't think about who goes to which school. You're just all one team.
Absolutely.
I'm going to share my screen here just for a second. All right, there we go. Before we jump in with the last question or two here, I just want to invite you to scan that QR code that you see on the screen. You'll answer a couple of very, very brief questions, and I will send you some cool Academy swag. You do not want to miss that opportunity. So scan that QR code so I can send you some swag. Mac, I know when we were talking before the start of the program, you mentioned that we have a fabulous athletic trainer. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. So our athletic trainer's name is Kelly Lacey, and her office will actually be at Ball Gym, and that's where volleyball takes place, as well as all of our basketball games, our swim practices, our cheer practices. And she is just absolutely wonderful. She is very helpful with any sort of issues that you may have, whether you might twist your ankle or you may be sore, things of that nature. She is there for you all the time. I would all the time. Whenever she's in her office, and is usually from 1 o'clock till 5 p.m. And then if we have any events at Ball Gym that day, she will be there later. But she's there to help you with and answer any questions you have as far as maybe you just want to a workout, or how to stretch a certain muscle if you pulled something, things like that. She's there for you, and she's always willing to help. So it's really, really nice that our program has someone like her to be able to lean on for questions and for help like that.
Yeah, we really are very fortunate to be able to add her to the staff, and she's made quite a wonderful addition. As we're starting to now wrap up the program, Mac, is there any final words or things that you'd like to share?
Well, honestly, I'm really excited that we have the opportunity to speak with Academy students that are thinking about going to the Academy. I just want everyone to feel free. I have a if you can send them my email. If they would ever like to send me any questions or anything they'd like to ask me, I'm always available. I will get back to you as soon as I can, and whether it just be any general question about the sports, or maybe times of practices, game schedules, things like that. Just feel free to always give me or shoot me an email, and I'd love to answer those questions.
Great. Thank you so much. I'm going to share my screen one more time here. There we go. So if I want to just point out a couple of our upcoming programs that you are definitely invited to attend. Coming up this Saturday, we have our Discovery Day program where you have the opportunity to see us here on campus, talk with students, teachers, parents, administrators. You'll get to see Mac and I think Kelly's going to be there too, right?
Yep.
Yep. So you'll get to see them as well as Mr. Jackson, who is in charge of our choir and band programs. So lots of people for you to talk with and connect with to learn more about the incredible program that we have here at the Indiana Academy. We also have coming up on the 12th our virtual application workshop. This one is going to specifically focus on references and transcripts. And then you can take a quick little sneak peek at what we have coming up there in the first couple weeks of December with our virtual ambassador chat, where you can jump online and talk to some of our current students, ask them questions, or just kick back and enjoy the vibe as other people ask questions. Go ahead and scan that QR code there, and it's going to take you to our website and show you the whole list of upcoming programs that we have throughout the rest of the academic year, and you can take a look at those and get registered. So I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight, and Mac, thank you so much for joining and for all of the great information that you shared.
Absolutely.
We will see you all next time. Enjoy your evening.